The Super Nintendo was just announced a few weeks ago.
Super
coming
Nintendo
out.
Classic, you mean? Sorry.
Yes, the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. The Super Nintendo, a 16-bit console, just announced. Fuck you, 4K. 16-bit. Yes. The Super Nintendo Classic Edition.
X.
Was just announced.
Classic Edition X.
And,
Pro.
and Super Nintendo Classic Edition actually got discontinued as well on the same day it was announced. So sad. I'm going to wait in line for nothing. No, Super Nintendo Classic Edition announced for September 29th. It's going to have 21 games with Star Fox 2 for $80. It is not too early for us to come up with our Nintendo 64 Classic Edition.
I just love how you're already defending the
console.
segment before we even start. It's not too early. I don't want to read your comments. It's not too early.
It's never too early.
It's on the list. It counts.
It is never too early. Come up with our N64 Classic Edition console, where each of us are going to have 3 games that we would want to add. I know this was Mo's favorite console, was the N64. But the criteria is these 6 games are automatically in the console. It is Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, Super Mario Kart 64, Super Smash Bros., which was the first one of the series, and Star Fox 64. So those 6 games get automatic buy into the N64 Classic Edition. So each will come up, we'll do a round robin, we'll each do 1 game, go around, but we'll each have 3 games, well maybe 3 games, we'll see. And I will go first. The first game that I would add to it, which is actually on the rare game they had, the 30 games, is Banjo-Kazooie, or Banjo-Tooie. It is...
You mean banjo?
What did I say?
Banjo?
Banjo?
Bon Jovi? What is wrong with you?
Bon Jovi is there tonight.
I want a deed or a leave.
I'm in my zone, man. I'm in my zone tonight, alright?
Whatever.
I brought my A game.
That's all right. Let's go back to Canada, eh?
Yeah, that's it. So, how do you pronounce that, Rich?
Banjo?
Alright, so Banjo-Kazooie.
He's named after the fucking musical instrument. Like a banjo and a kazoo. He's
kazoo.
Banjo-Kazooie.
I like Bon Jovi. So, Bon Jovi...
I liked him for the hair, obviously.
So, Banjo-Kazooie and the sequel, Tooie. Banjo-Tooie is what it is. So, either
Bonjo,
one...
Tooie.
Either
That was weird.
one.
For the second one, they actually called it Bonjo. It was weird.
See, I'm just ahead of my time, man. I was right on.
They didn't do that. I was just...
Dang it. So that would be my first game that I would add to the N64. But, again, fuck licenses. Because more than likely they probably won't allow it. But that's one of near and dear to my hearts for the N64 that I love. It was more like a Super Mario 64 ripoff. Go to certain worlds, collect musical notes, I believe, and then you get a certain amount for each level. Stars in Super Mario, I forgot what it was in Banjo. Yeah. But that would be my first game that I would add to the N64 Classic Edition. And Mo, what would be the game that you would?
The one of the very few that I've played, because I didn't own an N64, I wasn't in the N64 craze, would be Turok. That's one I did play through all the way. Had a friend let me borrow the 64, and that's the one I would have gone with.
Yep.
So Turok, definitely. And it's
Turok,
been
Dinosaur
a
Hunter.
long time since anybody's heard or seen Turok at all. So,
Did you play the second one?
no.
And I believe there was a third one as well. I'm not sure.
There was, I remember the second one, but I didn't
I think there was a third one as well.
I didn't.
I think they changed the game engine and the playstyle or something.
They did, yeah.
So with Turok Dinosaur, did you think it was weird? Because on the 64 controller, you moved with the 4 yellow buttons on the top.
That was
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of using the joystick
Yeah.
that you would use, they used it on the 4 top right.
No, as strange as it sounds, I found it comfortable.
Oh, because you play computer.
Yeah.
PC has the controls.
Yeah, so
Then you're using that for aiming, and then this is moving forward momentum.
So
kind of stuff.
I was already kind of like used to those controls.
Use the arrows and then use the mouse to fucking aim. So,
but yeah, Turok. That's one I want to see again.
And Richard, did you play Turok?
yeah.
I really.
But I
enjoyed-
was thrown by that too. That's not my style of play. So.
Yeah, it was weird. I remember when I first got my friend actually owned it. My best man Doug, he actually owned it, and I thought it was weird. It took me about a half hour to adjust, but after that, I was fine.
Yeah.
I never beat it. It was tough. The one thing with the platforming, when you have to jump on screen, that was pain in the ass.
And we were still getting used to the view from the 3D or the attempt at 3D.
Yeah. And the way they used like the console, they used the fog effect that you can't see too far ahead when you went closer. So they took advantage of that, of trying to hide some of the downfalls. But as a game, I thought it was fun. The idea, you were an Indian, right? A Native American.
Yeah.
And hunting down dinosaurs and humans as well.
Yeah, and you had some really pretty crazy costume too. I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it made sense for the world.
From the Valiant comic.
Yeah. So.
Actually, it led to them being bought out by Acclaim.
And then, so this is, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the N64 controller. So instead of using the joystick in the middle Turok, you use these 4 buttons actually to move up, down, left, and right. And the save pack. Oh, we loved our save packs, right?
Oh, shit. I remember that.
I have about 6.
You'd have a Rumble pack in there.
I have a Rumble pack. I do.
I couldn't play with this controller. It's broken.
It's broken? All my controllers are broken now.
This fucking button sticking. No, you just need to clean it.
Well,
no, it works. It works. You just need to clean it a little bit there.
Yeah.
I'll take care of the cleaning.
With the 4 buttons with Turok. But I really enjoyed it. All the codes. We all loved the codes back in the day with the big heads as well. That was very odd. And Rich, what would be your first game?
Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Ooh. Give me some Dash Rendar back in continuity. That'd be nice, but I don't think they would allow it, and I don't think that it would be counted if it was. So,
counted as canon, or
because it's been removed with the Disney buyout and stuff. It's one of those, and he was obviously like a Han Solo ripoff because it's between Empire and Return of the Jedi. It's a side story, and he basically takes that smuggler type of role. He's got a very Millennium Falcon. The Outrider is a very Millennium Falcon looking ship, but still, it was a lot of fun.
And that was during the launch window. That was towards the beginning.
Well, and that's where they really did what Disney and Marvel are doing right now with that IP, where all the comics count and the video games count, and of course the movies and TV shows count. That's where they were really doing that, where Dark Horse is doing the comic. They had the game that came out, and then they were doing other books and stuff, and it all was in continuity for the expanded universe. But all that stuff counted. You got Prince Shizor and the Blue Sun and all that kind of stuff. That was all interesting elements that were introduced there. Is their big multimedia push of this is like a new Star Wars story that fits in the middle of what you already know. So you didn't have a bunch of characters you didn't know. So it was the precursor to KOTOR. So it proved that you could introduce new characters with a very similar conceit.
I actually loved Shadows of the Empire, and that actually led to Rogue Squadron, the first level on Hoth. I'm like, holy shit, how impressive that was. And they had the motorcycle, or the bike
swoop bike, yeah.
The swoop bike. And I really loved Shadows of the Empire is towards the first few months of the N64 life. So that was great.
Holiday.
It was the holiday. And games were fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Well, back then, for fucking a cartridge.
Everything was selling out, too.
Yeah. The game was $900.
Stop it.
When it came out.
Dude, we apologize. It's off the cuff.
$900 for a fucking N64 game.
You've already seen how we do math tonight. It shouldn't be a shocker when we get to $900.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying.
You paid that too?
100. No. I believe the game was actually $80 was when it came out. I believe it was $80 when it was released. Could be $75, $80 for the game when it did originally actually come out. One of my favorite levels was the one with Boba Fett. Well, actually, you fight Boba Fett in there. There's a wide variety, but when you go back to it, it's very hard.
The graphics are really bad.
The camera was not very friendly on that, but absolutely, I would.
It's a good concept, though.
Welcome that game. This one I actually haven't played. I played the prequel. That was an Xbox 360 launch.
Perfect Dark.
Is Perfect Dark. I know everyone would want GoldenEye.
It's actually on my list. That was next.
Okay, I stole the thunder. I know this game came after GoldenEye, but Perfect Dark, I played the first level. and it was at a friend's. I never owned it, but it was something that I would want to go back, and it had huge acclaim. I know it got great. It was probably one of the reviews that I read, one of the best N64 games. Was Perfect Dark. Did you play? Mm-hmm. How was it?
It was good.
It was good.
Yeah. It was kind of like it's not quite the same as GoldenEye. It was actually, it seemed like they had perfected it, but it was, since it was a new IP and stuff, and I think multiplayer worked better on GoldenEye, but in concept of how everything would run. And that's the first one where I remember where they started doing the extra media kind of stuff too, where it was new IP, where of course Star Wars, you knew they already had a book and comic book system built in, but this was where they started doing novels and stuff to expand that whole thing and explain how the corporations had taken over the world, and that's where I really got into it, was getting that whole story. So
I had to look it up. I completely forgot about that game actually, and I played probably like 2 hours of it at a friend's house, and I was really intrigued by it. So I never went through the whole campaign.
And then they remastered it on Xbox, Perfect Dark Zero. Or no,
I didn't.
no, that was the prequel.
That was the prequel.
They did
the launch.
no, it was on the arcade. That's where it was. They remastered it on the arcade because they bought it out Rare. That's what it was. My bad.
So I played it. I can't pronounce this word very well, so it's a quinceanera.
Quinceanera.
There we go. Thank you. I can't say it.
What's your background?
What is my nationality, my background? For some reason, I can't say that word. I was actually getting ready. I was in high school. I was getting ready for that. It was after, I believe it was after the friend that was a part of it. Mm-hmm. We went and he had it. And I played the first level. I loved like the gadgets. I did play Perfect Dark Zero on the 360. Did you play that?
I didn't.
I've never played a game that held your hand so much than Perfect Dark Zero.
It held your hand, like it walked you through everything.
Literally.
And it was a launch game for the
360.
Yeah,
it
360.
literally held your hand and showed you exactly where you need to go.
What?
And it was the last of the actual Rare that they had bought from Nintendo, or from making games for Nintendo, and like it had really good pre-sale numbers, but then it dropped off drastically, and that was where they gutted that entire developer. Where they kept the name, they kept the IPs, but like everybody that worked there, or most everybody, that's when they got the axe, because of Perfect Dark Zero.
Yeah, the big launch game, and then it didn't do very well. But I got it on the launch.
Yeah.
I got 360. I got like, I heard great things about Perfect Dark, and this is their next thing that they need, Perfect Dark Zero. But the original Perfect Dark, I would add to it. Enmo, what would be your second?
Quest 64. Keep bringing that up. Quest 64 needs to... some sort of Quest needs to either be remade for the Switch, but I want to see Quest 64 so people can go back and actually replay a game that they missed out on, because that was a good action RPG. It wasn't turn-based, so you can go and relive that, because that was a great game for the 64 era.
That was a game that I rented, so I actually did rent. It's probably one of my save packs around here.
Yeah.
I don't remember getting too far over the weekend, but I did play that. And I wasn't too involved with RPGs. I was still young, so again, I never played any of the Final Fantasies. So I think that was one of my first RPGs that I played.
A little bit of a different taste, especially for the 64, and especially it being an RPG. On those time frames, it had a kind of like a Mario kind of camera, but still action RPG. Is
it like a small little blue guy?
Yeah, with the blue hair and everything,
like
and the cane,
short?
and he can use the sword and stuff. Yeah, it's like a mixture of that. So, I think everybody needs to replay that
Quest 64
just to get into it. It's a good game. It was a good game.
And Rich already spilled the beans. What would be your
GoldenEye? And if they could remaster, because apparently hidden in the code, I'm not a hacker or anything, but apparently they had gotten the faces for all the different actors that had played through Brosnan, and they put them in as they were multiplayer skins, but they couldn't get the likeness rights for everybody, so it was in there, but it was never activated for the general release, because Roger Moore or whoever didn't sign off, so you were stuck with just the Pierce Brosnan model. But that was where you really saw what consoles could do as far as multiplayer action shooter games.
I think that put multiplayer on the map for consoles.
Yeah.
Was GoldenEye.
And PC was dying off at the time, so I'll be honest, that's where when you look at what happened with Doom and Quake and everything, I think it's because you got enough people that were interested in what was going on with GoldenEye, and then when they saw the potential of how accurate you can be with all the stuff on a PC, I think that's where you started seeing that migration where that kept PC around long enough. They then went through another drought where then we had digital distribution came through and Steam and stuff, and they finally got healthy where they are now. But you remember there was a time where whole walls were PC games, and then there was very little, and then it was like it expanded to half of what it used to be.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like, well, they got 2 end caps kind of thing. But now it's one of those, who cares? Nobody goes to GameStop for PC shit anymore.
Yeah, I do remember that, seeing all the different walls, and then PC had 2 walls, all of a sudden it was condensed to 1, then it was condensed to half a wall, then it was condensed to just a fucking corner.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, in Wyoming we had Hastings, and it was one of those, there was like the whole aisle or 2, and then all of a sudden it was 1 aisle, then it was half of an aisle, just the one side. It was like a little section. It was like, well, we got educational, we got Microsoft Office, and whatever the new Windows release is. And then, look, there's 2 other games that just came out in the last 2 years, kind of thing. That was it.
And Age of Empires was always expensive. That's like I that's the one thing I remember is.
Was it $900?
It was.
Yes. But it only lasted 23
minutes.
And
that was the used copy.
My third game, I went back and forth. I might just cheat and add a 4th game anyways. But it's another game that I did not get a chance to play, but I think I would love. Donkey Kong 64. I played Donkey Kong Countries, all 3 of them on the Super NES. This was towards the end of the N64. And I was around that age where I couldn't afford too many games for the N64. So I was around that age where I was, in 98, 99, so I was 14 or 15. So whatever leftover lunch money I had, I just saved up and bought a game, and my dad's like, where are you getting all this money from? Well, I appreciate all the lunch money. But Star Fox 64 is more important than eating. So I never play. I do want to play Donkey Kong 64. I read reviews. I was watching videos about it. I might be on the virtual console. That I might, but it's a Nintendo property, so more likely they'll put that on the N64 Classic.
Yeah.
But it's more of my type of game, going out there using all the Kongs that you can use. But Donkey Kong 64. What about you, Mo?
Okay, so I'm gonna go out here on the stretch. I remember this for a particular friend's house where we used to get the 4 controllers and just beat the shit out of each other. And there was 2 games in particular, and I want to say there are 2 games, but I can't put them in separate categories because they had the same developer. It was WCW Nitro and also WWF No Mercy. Those games were fun as shit. 4 players just beating the shit out of each other, and I'm sorry to say,
you stole his third game.
Those are great games.
Yeah.
Like, they were so fun. Like couch co-op, and we were like yelling at each other. We do the 4-way rumbles and all that stuff. Even the Royal
No
Rumble.
Mercy had the best because not only was it created a wrestler, but you could finally go in and you could alter the existing wrestlers.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, like all my favorites were all members of DX for no reason. Like Taz is a member of DX out of nowhere.
Everyone is DX.
I swerved this bitch. Everybody.
And I remember they had tables and ladders and stuff like that.
It's weird that those games could do that shit, and yet 2K whatever that they're doing all the time, they ain't done that shit since the Raw versus SmackDown time. Or not in a good way, because they're trying to be so realistic of a. I don't want to say fake because I'm a wrestling fan. That's kind of rude, but it's one of those. It's not a realistic fight. So do you need realism in a non-realistic fight?
Yeah, I mean, I think they overcomplicate it. Like they just overburn it with a lot of shit that you.
Because I don't think they understand psychology because they have too much of that racing game kind of rubber band physics of. Oh, my guy's going through and he hits a signature, then this guy has to hit a counter. Yeah. He didn't hit a counter the whole fucking match. He's ranked 30 points below me, but all of a sudden when I'm getting ready to hit him with the finisher, he counters and now he's got a taunt on me and now I've extended what should have been like a minute and a half match out to 7 minutes. And I might not have won. It's dumb.
I just remember the controls being simple and just being a fucking blast.
I get what you say about simple, but no, they made sense because it wasn't combo moves. It was grapple, and then do you want a strong grapple? You want a weak grapple? Do you want a left grapple? You want a right grapple? And of course, use like one of the other buttons to fucking do an Irish whip.
Yeah.
It made sense. Yeah. Everything had a purpose.
It was.
You could pick it up.
A lot of fun.
You could pick it up. Now you need to know how that stuff would sequence into other stuff. But that's where the combo kind of thinking went. But you could, if you knew how to play one character, you could figure out how to play all the others. Yeah. You didn't have to do this one is only based on this. You can't use any grapples on there. They're primarily a striker. This one's a luchador, so you have to do a bunch of jumps to the outside. Yeah. You could do that shit with everybody, but everybody had like weight restrictions and stuff that they don't have in the regular game.
And it wasn't like the greatest of graphics. It was just fucking fun. That's all it was.
Matter.
That was the first game I ever bought day one. Yeah. Was WWF Warzone, which was the very first N64, or was it Warzone or Attitude? I had the first and second one I had. That was the very first game I reserved and bought day one when it was released.
That's when THQ was just releasing those games. Like,
yeah,
it was just great. I enjoyed
Which one?
Before Ukes took over.
What did you choose out of the...
Between the two?
Was that your third game? That's what I was thinking.
WCW versus NWO Revenge is a better game.
That was some...
But as far as the customization options, No Mercy had them there. But as far as the game, like that story that they put in there and everything and all the different options, and I think that there were more on the cartridge characters that were built by THQ. But when you got to No Mercy, you had, like 10 slots, and if you switched out your save packs, you could always add in another 10. So it was one of those. I remember, because you got the save pack, I had the one that had the slider switch on the back, because it switches the dip switch. So it was basically 4 save packs in one.
What?
So I would be able to just go, I'm on number 1, and then I go out of that screen, I flip it to number 2, I go back on that screen, shit,
that's
now
crazy.
Here's all my other stuff.
Oh, I do remember that. It had like the button on the back too. Or
you slide it, and you have to reset it, and then you go back in.
Shit ton of space, because you would always run out of space on those damn things. I remember my friends.
So out of 4 in 1,
That's awesome.
The one thing I loved was that was the first time you can create your own pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I loved that. And you can simulate it. Build another pay-per-view. I can make the best pay-per-views.
No Mercy, you could fuck around with the entrances a little bit and stuff. And
would that be your third game that you would add?
Oh, yeah. I was trying to end with the big flourish. But I was like, that's what I want. When a guy like me is not watching on a regular basis, I'm watching highlights. I'm not watching the shows. When I'm not buying your games and stuff like that. Like, I'm a huge gamer, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I'm not buying the game every year. And I'm the fucker that's looking for the best CAW version of Vampiro, on the Create a Wrestler on the internet kind of stuff. And I don't mean just in their menu. Like, I'm going online of who's got the best one, which one should I be searching for? And I'm going through Reddit posts and other websites that track all this shit. If I don't give a fuck to buy your game, you're obviously not doing it right. So... that's why I get mad. It's because I want to give you my money. You're doing everything you can to make sure I don't.
Are you listening, Microsoft?
That's what I'm saying. It's not just them, because it's on the Switch now, too.
Whoa. Come on, man. It's on the Switch.
They made their own commercial
WWE,
that it's on the Switch.
The Switch.
No, they had to do a separate commercial that it's on the Switch. That's how fucked up
Well, they have
that
to adjust the graphics a little bit, It's just a tad. Just a tad.
Wait, is that why Seth Rollins has just black hair now instead of the bleach streak? Is because they couldn't render it on the Switch?
well, his dick's not getting any larger.
Wow.
So. You may have to bust that game out. We're probably going to have to beat each other's ass just on that game.
Dude, I have one.
Yeah, I'm saying. That's why.
Our love for wrestling, and Mo loves the wrestling games. Some fond memories. We brought out WCW NWO Revenge and WWF Warzone, which I believe was the first game. That was the first game I ever reserved and picked up day one. Was that game right there. So those are our games that we had. Mo, let's do a roundabout. So I'll do my 3, which I just realized, fuck the N64 Classic Edition. I'm just going to go buy the Rare.
Already out.
The Rare, that's already out.
Obviously, for like 5 years.
Yeah, the games that I wanted, Perfect Dark and Banjo-Kazooie, or Tooie. Banjo. Is I'll just buy the Rare and I'll just play those games, obviously. But so I wanted Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Donkey Kong 64. My 4th game that I wanted was Rogue Squadron. I know it was Shadows of the Empire, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and Mo, what were your 3 games?
Turok, Quest 64, and I would like to see these wrestling games on there just because of the replay value of, couch co-op. That's what it was for me. So, yeah.
And Rich.
Shadows of the Empire, GoldenEye, and No Mercy.
All right, and those are our list of 15 games plus the 6 that were automatically in our 15 games that would be in our N64 Classic Edition, which will retail more than likely for 100 or even more. We'll see how much when it's announced.
Sell for 64. How do they not see this?
For $64.
It's right there.
And call it the Ultra 64. The original name was supposed to be
$64.99.
No, not 99 cents. Just 64.
It's a 64.
It's $4 even. Stop trying to get an extra $1, Mo.
$63.99.
Greedy bastard.
No, because that's not a 64.
Greedy bastard.
That's 63.
Taxes will put it up to 60.
Taxes will put it at like 68, depending on which state you're in.
Taxes. When I get the Xbox One X, those taxes are gonna fucking piss me off. Did for the Xbox One.
Not as much as the system itself will piss you
off. Yeah. Fucking 4K. This looks like shit. This ain't 4K. It's 360.
This looks like 3.7K. Refund.
Yeah. Fuck
Too bad I already traded mine in just so I can get a controller. Yeah. It's the most expensive replacement controller I've ever bought.
Man, you're the worst type of... I'm not gonna say it. Damn, fanboy. I'm joking. Jesus.
Please let us know in the comments below what games you would add to your Nintendo 64 Classic Edition console.